true Christians, truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Jesus Christ said in chapter 10 of the Gospel of St. John, "All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them." Many Christians, not surprisingly, quote this saying in condemnation of other spiritual teachers, not only the Old Testament prophets, but also Buddha, Krishna, and others who lived before Jesus, as well as by inference any who came after him. Yet Jesus himself said in St. Matthew chapter 5, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." Nowhere do we find Jesus condemning or even gently criticizing other spiritual masters. His criticisms were reserved for worldly attitudes and for those hypocritical Pharisees who had allowed religion to become for them a pretense. Paramahansa Yogananda explained that the expression "all that ever came before me" referred to those spiritual teachers who place their egos and their self-importance ahead of the Christ consciousness, in the sense of drawing people's devotion to themselves and not offering it where alone it truly belongs, to God. Yogananda himself was very firm in this regard. For example, he never spoke of anyone as his disciple. Instead, he always insisted, "They are God's disciples. God is the Guru, not I." Ego is a way station on the soul's journey toward enlightenment. The soul is first trapped in lower bodily forms. Slowly it evolves to the human level, at which point self-consciousness appears. Only in human form can self-consciousness transcend material form altogether, including the lower identity of ego consciousness, and discover the true divine self within. Self-consciousness manifested as ego is an incentive to deliberate self-development. Later in this process of development, however, the ego becomes an obstruction. Inevitably, new spiritual aspirants do not emerge effortlessly from the vortex of ego consciousness. Desire must be offered up resolutely and ever more wholeheartedly on the altar of infinity. It is a gradual process, and few, even among those who seek to help others, are free of ego. If, however, their motive in teaching is not to serve, but to be served, they deserve a severe reprimand, as Jesus gave them. For their direction of development is no longer upward, but downward. In the name of giving up desires, they are creating new ones. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter, desire obscures even the wisdom of the wise. Their relentless foe it is, a flame never quenched. Intellect, mind, and senses, these combined, are referred to as the seed of desire. Desire through them dilutes and eclipses the discrimination of the embodied soul. O Arjuna, discipline your senses, and having done so, work to destroy desire, annihilator of wisdom and of self-realization. Give God the credit for everything you do. See Him as the true doer. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Happy Sunday to everyone. Thank you. Also to you at home. Somebody might be a little sad now because you don't see Jyotish and Devi here now. I don't know if you all know that Jyotish and Devi were supposed to be here today. So, how are you? I see you all very hot. I have a question for you.
Questo di solito, ma vi siete vestiti un pochettino eleganti?
Did you dress up a little elegantly today? Yes or no?
Abbastanza?
More or less. Sufficiently. Because it's not only Sunday today. Today you will be incoronated king or queen. Are you ready?
Vestiti adatti?
Do you have the right clothing?
E vi dico perché.
And I'll tell you why.
Non so se avete sentito.
I don't know if you have heard what Swami Kriyananda said in this scripture, in this reading. Did you follow it? If I ask you what was read, can you answer? Anyway, he said in the beginning, he talked about thieves and robbers, and he said, who of spiritual teachers puts himself before God and takes away the glimpse of God? All of those usually are thieves, right? But let's say this is not really about you. That's their story. And then Swami Kriyananda talks about the ego. And this has to do with us, true? So I'll explain to you now why. Yogananda explains that our ego means that you feel yourself man or woman. You are like a kingdom, and there are many personalities of citizens within you. You seem to be a person, but you have so much within you. There are citizens, noble citizens, beautiful, clean, pure citizens, but there are also others. There are children there in your kingdom, right? Inside, hurt children, children that cry, yes or no? You also have citizens within you, we all, who are a little critical, negative, not very nice. We have angry citizens within you. Isn't it true? We are not talking about the others, we're talking about you. You have inside all these citizens, and amongst all these different citizens of every type and every voice, there are also thieves and robbers within us. If you now say, no, this is not true. Within me, everything is clean and pure, and everything is saintly and healthy. So then I'll come to you and I will touch your feet and you can give me your blessing. Because if you, as it says in the autobiography of a yogi, Sri Yukteswar says, if you are too good for this world, then you would be in another world. If you were so pure, you would not be in this world. This is our parting point. Do you agree? So listen, lately I have read, I remember that Swami Kriyananda said, careful with the people who smile too much. No, it's wrong. Sorry. No, he said, careful to the people who always smile. And my referring point of this phrases of Swami Kriyananda is Asha, Naya Swami Asha. She has written down all the life of Swami Kriyananda, all his quotings. So I asked Asha, do you remember Swami saying this? And Asha says, yes, but you need to explain this well, because the people who always smile, who always have this smile on their face, they show that everything's right, everything's nice. So pay attention of what is behind those smiles. This kind of person doesn't show its true self. It's not authentic, because behind there's so much that the person doesn't want to show. So it smiles and wants to appear spiritually. Spiritual people always need to smile. So Naya Swami Asha said, attention. Swami said, attention to these people. For example, there was a person in public. Swami Kriyananda was talking to this person quite strictly, and the person was smiling at this criticism. And Swami Kriyananda said afterwards to his group of friends, he said, attention to the people who always smile. You don't know what's behind it. Do you know what happened to that person? This person that always smiled to everyone and everything committed suicide. This is just to say that we all need to put our feet on the ground and say, in my inner kingdom, there is so much, and I cannot neglect it. Who neglects what's inside does not go far. And you now, Yogananda says, you are this kingdom, and now you will be given a crown. You are the king, the queen of this kingdom with so many citizens and personalities inside, and you need to reign well. And that's not easy. How to govern all these voices, all these personalities? How can I govern all these inner balances? How can I be a good king, a good queen? How can I do this? It is not very easy. And I'll tell you one thing, because you're going to expand on this thought, and I'll tell you with these words. In truth, there are two crowns that you can take. So you will be given two crowns. Now, are you ready for the crown? So, in truth, two crowns will be offered to you. Either the crown of the rebel ego king, or the crown of the soul king. And the soul king, Yogananda says, no, the ego rebel king, this crown, if you take it, his first minister is ignorance. So you will be guided and take counsel from your prime minister, ignorance. You like ignorance because you can do whatever you like. And the counselors are the wrong desires. I have this desire, that desire. Oh, it's all normal. And the prime minister gives this, and the desires give you counsel, and you follow these counsels. And the soldiers of this kingdom are illusion. Instead, if you take the crown of the soul king, its first prime minister is discrimination, and his noble courtesans are intuition, omniscience, peace, bliss, calmness, self-control, the power to completely relax. Try to think. These are your noble counselors in your kingdom. The power to completely relax, willpower, concentration. In order to govern this kingdom, you have these counselors. Discrimination. And so now you choose your crown. either the one of the soul. I think you all choose the crown of the soul. Yogananda gives you this crown for your kingdom, and he says, be you the king of yourself. Let the soldiers of goodness and good habits govern your kingdom of mind. Then happiness will reign within you forever. Now it gets a little bit more concrete. This was a little play, but now you have in your hands the crown. You are the king of your life. And Yogananda says, tell your feelings, your emotions now. I am the king, the queen, and I'm seated on the throne of my emotions. So, okay, how do I handle this? How do I handle, for example, tears? What do you do when you cry? How can you be a good king? If you say, there's no tears in my life, do you think then you're a good king or not? If you always cry, always, as a habit, are you a good king? Yes or no? So how do you govern? How do you reign over your right tears? And when do you know when you need to say stop crying? If you cannot cry, I think something might be wrong in your life. For years I haven't cried, but it was closure of heart. Swami Kriyananda has cried, Yogananda has cried. If you lose, like Yogananda, your mother and you are a piece of ice within you, something is wrong, don't you think? So how do I do? I want to cry when it's normal, but I don't want to become someone who always cries. I don't want to always cry in every situation. So how do I find the balance? How do I do with my desires? You are the king, and there are so many citizens of desires within you. The desire for this, for that. How do you govern them? From one hand side, Yogananda says, and Swami Kriyananda said to his master Yogananda, help me to overcome the desire for good food. And Yogananda said, oh, don't you worry, eat well and do worry about important things. When ecstasy comes, everything else goes. So Swami Kriyananda for his whole life, he liked to eat well, like a king, truly, really. You couldn't serve him something not good, because his master said, this desire is not so important for you. And how do you do? Other desires will bring you into a completely wrong direction. So how can you be a good king for yourself? Balance the desires. So how do you know when to say this is a desire which is okay and these desires are not okay? And in this moment of life, I have done so many fights. Now I cannot fight also this desire. We need to be real with us. So how do we know? And if the desire is too strong, you can put it on a shelf and deal with something else first, and first overcome something else. So how do you know how to do it? How can you be a good king or queen for the desires of your kingdom? This is your crown, and you need very good counselors. Otherwise, you will be counseled by your ego. As Yogananda said, the wrong desires. Don't be guided by wrong desires, but try to be guided by wisdom. This desire is no problem. That desire I need to overcome because I am the king, I am the queen of my kingdom. I can see the crowns on your heads now. You are the kings. How do you deal with weaknesses? Each one of us has weaknesses. Very weak citizens. Do you have them inside of you? Yes or no? Yes. Because if you say, no, I have no weakness, then something might be wrong, don't you think? So how do you deal with your weaknesses? When you say, okay, this is a weakness I need to overcome, the moment is now, And how do you decide if this is a weakness? That yes, I know I have it, but I need to strengthen myself first to overcome. This is not the moment for me right now. So the real spiritual life, to really be king or queen of your kingdom, is not easy, because you could be taken away to say, oh, I accept myself as I am, I don't need to change. Then you're not a good king. But you're also not a king if you judge yourself and you say, I'm all wrong, I have all these weaknesses, then you are also not a good king or queen. You need to be a good king or queen. This kingdom needs to blossom within you. Is your inner kingdom within you flowering, within yourself blossoming? If you look back in life, 2 years, 2 years have back, how were you by then? And then look at you now. Have you grown? Have you blossomed? So ask yourself, have you been blossoming in your life, or are you just stagnant? People who are for a long time on the spiritual path, the danger is that the king says, I'm on this level, and on this level everything is fine. I just go on with my life as it is. And then you're not a good king. A good king says, now get up and be king of your words and of your actions. I don't know if you are king of your words. Some people have a kingdom that never says anything, any word, nothing comes out of the mind, even if you feel so much inside of you. Others always say everything right away, and then might need to learn to be quiet for a moment. Don't say everything that comes to your mind immediately. So you need to govern well. It's not good to never say anything. It's also not good to always say everything. And sometimes you teach a class and you don't understand. Are these people interested? Communicate with your eyes, with your heart, with your question. If you do not communicate, try to learn to communicate. Usually men need to learn to communicate. Women, I don't, they communicate already quite a lot. And so all of us, we have inside, all of us, robbers and thieves inside. Robbers and thieves. This is a long discourse. We cannot put the ego down, but we also should not blow the ego up. So who are you? Someone who brings the ego down? Then you're not a good king or queen. It should not be push down the ego, but you are also not a good king if you blow up your ego. The ego needs to be healed. I have been, for a long time, I had very low self-esteem and I didn't believe in myself. And there are certain things that if you tell someone like that, push your ego down, then you're not helping, you're hurting this person. To another person who maybe already has a blown ego, very blown up ego, to this person maybe you should tell ego down. Yogananda might come and push the ego down. With other person you don't do it. I've noticed when Swami Kriyananda talked to a group of us, he would direct himself to the individual and praise that person that was not feeling well. And when he praised the person and help the person to feel good, I thought, I think this person is probably unwell. Otherwise, Swami Kriyananda would not have praised this person. So saints, they give a person self-esteem. They say, get up, stand up, be well, and say, yes, I can. And Swami Kriyananda, on the other hand, to those who had a blown up ego and wanted to do this or teach that, he didn't even look at us. maybe for days, if we came into a room and wanted Swami Kirananda to look at us, Swami Kirananda didn't look at us. So I think all of us who lived with him can confirm. Sometimes, also to the both of us, Shantidev and Jayadev, Swami Kirananda, he would give us very strong putting our ego down. But in order to do this, you need to be strong inside, because Swami Kirananda was really strong with us. If you are a weak person, you could have been destroyed. So he only did it because he knew he could do it with us. And you can only do this if you know the other person in front of you. So it seems that Swami Kirananda thought of us that we were strong enough to handle this, but another person, you might look at another person wrongly and the person just crashes. So you need to be king of your words, of what you say, when you say it. And then we have the king of thoughts, which is also very important. King, the king of thoughts. So let's all try to feel the crown on our head, and it says, here, touch your crown, touch it. Here, there is your crown. And it says in front, soul king, soul queen, right? Does it say these words? So now you are incoronated. And you need to understand how to govern your kingdom, which is different from my kingdom or his kingdom. And so you can see little by little how to govern your kingdom. If I meet you again in a year's time, your kingdom should have flowered, blossomed more and more. So the voices of your ego, you need to know what to tell him. If you say, oh, you ugly ego, kneel down, you're all sinners, all these inner egos, careful. Careful inside how you talk to your citizens. Yes, sometimes you need to be strong, but other times you just need to love yourself. And now Yogananda says, spiritually, your kingdom needs to be illuminated by the light of God. The earthly king becomes a spiritual king. These are words by Yogananda, images by Yogananda when he explains the Bhagavad Gita. Being an earthly king means to be a slave, but being a king of the infinite means to be the true king, because then we are free. The king of goods is only a king when he has all the belongings, but the king of soul is a king without richness. The true king is the one who loves God. When you wear the crown of peace, you have everything. If your heart is not pure, if you don't find your soul attuned with God, you can never reach this state. So let's now affirm these words by Yogananda together. Close your eyes, sit up straight, and try a little bit to look inside, look at your kingdom, all the citizens, also the ugly ones. Accept them, even if it's difficult. Accept whatever is in your kingdom, and try to also see the beautiful citizens, the marvelous citizens, the light within you. There's everything. And now you are that king, that queen with the crown on your head. And God and the masters give you the task to govern this kingdom with all the citizens, all the children that sometimes cry within you. Maybe there are even animals in your kingdom. And you affirm now out loud, I am king of myself, not the king of my belongings, slave of fantasy. I don't possess anything, and I am still the king of my eternal kingdom of peace. I'm not a slave anymore at the service of my fears, of possible losses. I have nothing to lose. I'm seated on the throne of eternity. I'm really a king. Close your eyes. Look inside. There's so much to govern with wisdom. Lift your gaze. Pray for wisdom, how to govern your citizens with love, sometimes strongly, with wisdom. Pray to be a good king or queen. Om Shanti.